Okay, let's unpack this. If you're a brand strategist, maybe an executive or an entrepreneur, you definitely know that feeling, right? The core values exercise.
Oh yeah, the strategy session dread.
Exactly. You're staring at a whiteboard, someone throws out innovation, someone else's integrity, and, well, you end up with this list. Polished words. Beautiful, even.
Corporate wallpaper, that's what it is.
Looks great on the website, maybe the careers page, but utterly meaningless when a really tough decision actually lands on your desk.
It's like the highest form of, I don't know, business vanity. These phantom values just evaporate. They give you zero guidance when you actually have to choose between, say, profit and principle.
They feel like philosophy, not action.
Exactly.
So we're here to fix that confusion. We're diving into the really structured work of Dr. Ari Masudi today. His background is pretty fascinating. Actually started as a molecular biologist, regenerative medicine researcher.
Right, and then moved into science tech business consulting. He brings this scientific kind of rigor to strategy that you don't often see.
Yeah, it's different. We're looking at his methodology for turning these sort of nebulous ideas into concrete, actionable strategy.
He basically treats values like the DNA of a company. They've got to be precise, structural, and they need to drive every single outcome. His core idea. Values aren't fluffy concepts. They are the decision-making engines of your organization.
And when you see it applied, it makes total sense. Like, think about Patagonia telling customers straight up, don't buy this jacket.
Or Netflix, famously killing its own very profitable DVD business to go all in on streaming.
That level of strategic trade-off, that needs values to be the absolute highest authority in the room. Masudi argues, and I think he's right, that every critical evaluation your organization makes, who you hire, your marketing, entering a new market, it's ultimately an argument about which value wins out.
Risk versus safety, maybe.
Yeah.
Or authenticity versus that polished look.
Exactly. Our mission here is to really understand that architecture he lays out.
Okay, so if values are these decision-making engines, then logically they have to be used consistently to evaluate everything. Masudi points to three specific ways, three mechanisms that organizations and, importantly, customers subconsciously use when they're judging something, a brand, a person, a product.
Okay, three mechanisms. The first one sounds like the easiest one to track, but maybe the least informative. It's measurement, the scores.
Yeah, the metrics we all live by. Market share, awards, customer lifetime value, NPS, all that.
But those are results, aren't they? Not really the driver.
That's the key point. They're essential, of course, but they are results. And 95% customer satisfaction score. Great outcome. But it doesn't explain why customers love you.
Or, more importantly, what you did right to earn that score.
Exactly.
Isn't the temptation huge, though? To just find the metric that makes you look good. If my value is customer delight, I just track NPS and call it a day. How do you stop teams from just picking vanity metrics? Ones that just validate a decision they already made.
That's the critical distinction Masudi makes. You have to use metrics to validate that you're living the value, not use them to define the value itself.
Okay, explain that more.
So if your brand genuinely values, let's say, creativity, you shouldn't just be counting the awards you won. That's looking backward.
Right.
You need to measure the behavior that stems from that value. For instance, how many truly new, maybe unproven ideas does the team actually ship versus just minor tweaks on existing stuff?
Ah, I see. So the metrics confirm the values are actually being practiced.
Precisely.
Got it. Okay, mechanism 2. This one sounds less rational, tapping more into human connection. Attachment, the gut feeling.
Yeah, this is that non-rational kind of emotional infrastructure. It's what drives real devotion, real loyalty.
Like people queuing for days for a new Apple product.
Exactly. Or think about the global community around Harley-Davidson riders. You can't capture that feeling on a spreadsheet.
So this is where real brand strategy needs to build rituals, right? Not just features. You have to ask yourself, what's our brand's equivalent of Nike creating a global running community?
It's about building that attachment mechanism.
Yeah.
A feeling, a sense of belonging, something that makes employees and customers turn down maybe a cheaper alternative or a higher paying job just to stick with you.
Okay, makes sense. And the third mechanism?
The third one is judgment, the opinion. When a team member says, I don't think that design really reflects our commitment to simplicity.
Or a customer comments online, that campaign felt really tone deaf.
Exactly. They're making a deep value judgment, and that reveals their underlying principles, what they actually believe matters.
So the strategic takeaway here is teaching your people how to talk about their preferences, not just I like it or I don't like it.
Precisely. You train teams to articulate why they judge something something negatively or positively. Replace that vague, yeah, I don't like it, with something actionable, like this execution undermines our core value of transparency because it kind of hides the pricing structure.
Okay, so the principles become the operational language.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating here is how often strategists, well, we all kind of use the term value pretty loosely. Dr. Masudi really insists on precision here. So we need to break down value into three distinct faces because they get mixed up all the time.
Okay, three faces of value. What's the first?
The first face is probably the simplest. Value is magnitude, basically the how much.
Like when a CFO asks, what's the value of this acquisition, or what's the market value of the company?
Exactly. They're talking about size, worth, importance, something you can generally measure.
And strategically, how do you use that?
Well, this face forces you to quantify those abstract concepts. If you say you value community, okay, great. Now you need to identify metrics. Active members, engagement rates, how many local events did you actually hold?
You're turning the abstract into something concrete.
It's a scientific method applied to business, essentially.
Okay, phase number two.
Phase two is value as object. The what? These are the actual things, tangible or intangible, that you consider important.
Like your headquarters, your patents, the founder's legacy, your reputation.
All of those. And here's a quick test Masudi suggests. Can you replace the word value in your sentence with thing we consider important? If yes, you're probably talking about an object, not a principle.
Okay, and the strategic action there.
Audit where the budget actually goes. Seriously.
Your real value.
They're revealed by what you protect, what you invest in, not the pretty words on your website. Follow the money.
Right. Actions speak louder than words, or budget allocations speak louder than website copy.
You got it.
And the third phase. This sounds like the crucial one for brand strategy.
It is. It's value as principle. These are the criteria you use to judge things, the why behind your decision. Principles like beauty or justice or efficiency. This is where true brand strategy lives and breathes.
So the key distinction is moving from just a general statement to a principle you can actually use.
Exactly. It's not enough to say, we value innovation. That's too vague. You have to define the principle, like, we judge our ideas by their ability to disrupt industry assumptions, even if they cannibalize our current products.
Okay, that's a usable rule. Every product manager can understand and apply that.
Right. It gives them permission and direction.
This precise framing leads us nicely into the 6 core values that Dr. Masudi identified as major drivers of purchase decisions. He found these looking at design resale market, right? Like vintage furniture, collects.
Yeah, that was the origin, but they apply much more broadly to basically all brands looking for that deep differentiation. We really need to map our own brands against all 6. They act like the lenses consumers use, consciously or not.
Okay, let's run through them. Every strategist listening should probably grab a pen. Number 1.
Number 1, functional. The absolute baseline. Does it work? Is it reliable? Think Dyson Engineering or the legendary reliability of a Toyota.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2, effective. Does it make me feel something? Does it spark nostalgia, joy, delight? That's Coca-Cola's deep cultural connection or, Disney magic.
All right.
Third is intellectual and cultural. Does it carry meaning? History, a compelling story. This is where you get the centuries of craftsmanship behind Hermes or the specific cultural cool tied to supreme streetwear. Fourth, authenticity. Is it the real deal? Can I trust its origins, its story? Is the provenance clear? This is why people still hunt down original Levi's denim or connect with Jack Daniel's deep-rooted history. Fifth is rarity. Is it scarce? Exclusive. This taps into that collector's impulse, the thrill of getting something others can't, like limited sneaker drops.
And finally, number 6.
And number 6, legacy. Has it stood the test of time? Demonstrated enduring quality or style. This is the essence of Rolex's timelessness or Chanel style that just transcends fleeting trends.
So the strategic action here sounds simple, but maybe painful. Map your brand against all 6.
And realize most brands really only optimize for 2 or 3 max. It can't be everything.
But here's where it gets really interesting, right? The magic combination. You mentioned Patagonia earlier.
Yes. Look at how they combine them. Functional. Absolutely. It's high quality gear. Intellectual. Definitely. Their environmental activism gives it meaning and authenticity. Crucially, they genuinely live that activism.
And that intersection, that's what makes them so powerful, almost cult-worthy, irreplaceable.
Exactly. This is a potent mix. But okay, say we've mapped our brand against these 6 drivers. How do we make sure these are fundamental beliefs, not just, good marketing angles that sound nice?
That brings us to the secret sauce, as you called it earlier, autotelism. This might be the most important concept in Masudi's whole framework.
It's quite profound, actually.
He really stresses that true values are not rules. Rules are about enforcement. Values are the justification for the rule. And they're not criteria either. Criteria are measurable targets. Values are self-justifying.
So autotelism means a real value is self-justifying. It needs no further explanation. No external benefit is required. The argument just stops when someone says, we have to do this because it's fair. That's it. Fairness is the end goal.
You can't logically argue someone out of valuing fairness or beauty. Right. They're fundamental beliefs, not rational proofs you can debunk.
Exactly. Their conviction.
Okay, but if I'm running a young startup, how do I apply this idea of autotelism without sounding, I don't know, overly philosophical to my engineers or my marketing team?
By focusing on the practical implication. First, you can't prove your values rationally. You have to demonstrate them consistently, especially when it costs you something: time, money, opportunity.
Okay, what else?
Second, values can only really be displaced by other values. Think about Amazon. When they consistently prioritize convenience and speed over, say, sustainability, that's not an accident. It reveals their deeply embedded value hierarchy. Convenience wins. Third, values require conviction, not consensus. This is key. If you put your core values up for a vote, you'll inevitably drift back towards the safe, generic one: integrity, excellence, because real values often force hard, uncomfortable trade-offs. They can be controversial.
So how do you find that core, potentially controversial value?
That's where Masudi recommends playing the why game relentlessly. If your team says we value innovation, ask why.
Okay, maybe they say because it leads to better products.
Ask again, okay, why do we want better products?
Because that ensures market growth.
Keep going. Why does market growth matter? Eventually, you'll hit a point where the answer is just terminal, because growth matters, period. Or because market leadership matters. That's the underlying autotelic value you've uncovered. Innovation was just the method to get there.
I see. So you dig until you hit the bedrock belief.
Exactly. And that clarity, that's what delivers the big strategic payoff: differentiation.
Because competitors can copy your features, maybe your pricing, maybe even poach some staff.
Right. But they cannot easily copy your unique value hierarchy, precisely because that hierarchy is built on those difficult, inconvenient trade-offs you were willing to make.
Like Volvo, decades ago, choosing safety over speed.
Precisely. Safety became the organizing principle for everything: engineering, marketing, everything. Or look at Glossier choosing community input over expert formulation. Collective wisdom became their primary value.
Those choices become like organizational physics shaping everything.
They really do. Which brings us to the practical tool Masudi advocates: the value hierarchy exercise.
Okay, what does that involve?
You list maybe 10 potential values your company holds. Then, the hard part, you force rank them. When two values inevitably conflict, and they always will, which one wins? You have to be ruthless and narrow it down to your absolute top 3.
Can you give an example of those trade-offs in action?
Trader Joe's is a brilliant one. Their hierarchy is crystal clear if you look closely. Affordability wins over premium perception. Discovery wins over convenience. And friendliness wins over pure efficiency.
Okay, so if discovery wins over convenience, what does that actually look like in the store? How does it manifest physically?
It manifests as a store layout that is, frankly, deliberately a bit confusing. The stock changes constantly. You have to hunt for new items. That fuels the sense of discovery.
Whereas if convenience was number one,
they'd have predictable aisles, permanent stock placement like a regular supermarket. By forcing that trade-off, discovery over convenience, they create a memorable, distinct experience. And it's really hard to copy unless a competitor is also willing to deliberately confuse their own customers.
Right. Strategy gets real when values conflict. That's where the conviction is truly tested. Should we expand fast for growth or ensure quality for excellence? Maximize short-term returns or stick to a long-term environmental promise?
This is exactly why the REI decision back in 2011 about Black Friday is such a powerful case study. They chose to close all their stores.
On the biggest shopping day of the year?
Right. And they paid their employees to spend time outdoors instead. They were literally living their value of connecting with nature, even though it cost them potentially huge revenue.
The initial hit must have been enormous, but that value-driven decision clarified exactly who they were, didn't it?
Absolutely. It was like an investment in autotelism. It strengthened the conviction of every customer and employee who shared that principle. And arguably, it drove far more long-term loyalty and sales than any single Black Friday ever could have.
Okay, so we understand the philosophy, the hierarchy. How do we actually move this from, boardroom conviction to daily operational reality?
Masudi offers a really good test for this. Ask yourself, can your newest, least trained employee use your stated values to make a decision you'd agree with without having to call their manager?
If the answer is no,
then your values are probably too vague. They're not operational.
So the operationalization framework demands brutal clarity.
Yes, you have to name the trade-off clearly. Not just excellence, but something specific like craft over speed. Then define the behavior that embodies it. We ship when it's right, even if we'll miss the initial market window.
And you have to explicitly state the trade-off.
You have to. This means we knowingly sacrifice potential early market share for the sake of enduring quality. Everyone needs to understand the cost.
Like Netflix's famous freedom and responsibility value.
Exactly. That sounds lovely on its own, right? But it's operational because it's paired with specific, often uncomfortable behaviors. Responsibility means, essentially, if your performance is merely adequate, we'll give you a generous severance package because we value high performance above almost everything else, including tenure.
That's clear. It's financially backed. It dictates actual behavior.
And that's why it works as an operational value.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, there's a necessary warning here, isn't there, about performative value?
Absolutely. Performative values, the ones you don't actually live by, are worse than having no stated values at all. They become huge strategic liabilities.
Like the Wells Fargo example, their stated value was integrity.
While employees were systematically opening millions of fake accounts, that value didn't just become meaningless, it became a public punchline, cost them billions in fines and reputation.
So what are the signs of this kind of value theater?
Usually they're chosen by a committee to sound good. Leaders violate them without any real consequences. Or they're just utterly indistinguishable from every single competitor's website copy. Bland and meaningless.
And the solution.
It's simple, but it takes guts. Kill the values you are not willing to defend. With money, with time, with personnel decisions. If you won't fire a star performer for violating a core value, or if you won't sacrifice short-term profit to uphold it, then it's not a real value. It's just a wish.
Better 3 real, defended, maybe difficult values than 10 fake ones on a poster.
100%. So for you, the listener, the learner out there, use this kind of scientific framework to start overhauling your strategy. Now, Masudi suggests a practical 4-step plan. First, audit your current values and, crucially, the spending associated with them. Where does the money really go?
Okay, step 2.
Second, clarify them. Use that painful why exercise until you hit the autotelic bedrock. Third, test them. Ask, say, 5 employees and 5 customers if they can clearly define your top 3 values and see what they say.
And finally,
operationalize them. Define the specific, maybe controversial, behaviors and the explicit trade-offs that result from each core value.
the bottom line really is that values aren't just inspirational posters. They are the fundamental operating system of your entire brand strategy.
Exactly. The brands we truly admire, the ones that last. They aren't just lucky. They did the hard, precise work of defining, prioritizing, and, most importantly, consistently defending their values, even when it hurt.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, Masudi's work really highlights that values aren't static, they evolve.
Right. Think about this historical shift. Research shows meaningful work displaced job security as the top work value for many people between, say, 1990 and 2020. Now you have Gen Z entering the workforce and often ranking things like brand activism very highly.
So here's the provocative thought to leave you with. What current accelerating cultural shift might force the next major value audit for your brand? What deeply held belief might suddenly come into conflict with emerging expectations in the next, say, 3 years?
Which value that you take for granted today might you suddenly find yourself having to rigorously defend? It's probably time to start preparing for that conflict now.